Hello there, welcome back to another video, and today's video is going to be super special and very informative. And think about it almost like a perfume class, because I think you're going to get a lot of knowledge, because this video is going to help you with a couple of things. Primarily, it is going to help you boost your fragrances. Okay, now the boosting can happen in 3 different segments, and we're going to talk about all of them. So today's video is going to be super interesting, and if you kind of like this kind of content, then definitely hit the like button, subscribe. And you're watching the Perfume Experience. My name is Rodney, and on this channel here we do Middle Eastern, Indian fragrance reviews and a lot more interesting videos like this. So if that is something that you like, then definitely hit the notification आइकन। आज हम बात करने वाले हैं एक काफी इंटरेस्टिंग टॉपिक के बारे में। एक समझो कि एक परफ्यूम क्लास ही है, जहां पर हम बात करेंगे कैसे आप आपके परफ्यूम को बूस्ट कर सकते हो, और इसके पीछे जो इंग्रेडिएंट्स हैं उसके यूजेस कैसे हैं, और उसके बारे में हम बात करेंगे। तो आखिर तक बने रहें, जहां मैं इसके एक पूरा आपको एक समरी दे दूंगा। सो लेट्स गेट गोइंग विदाउट फर्दर अडू ऑन द वीडियो विद द इंट्रो राइट आफ्टर दिस। Alright, welcome back. So like I said, so today's topic is basically about looking at boosting your fragrances, that is basically improving your fragrances. Okay, now the improving of these fragrances can be done in 3 parts. 1, you can boost the projection, you can increase the longevity, you can make your fragrance smell better. Okay, so these are 3 elements, and how do you go about it is what we're going to talk about today. So primary reason behind this is because a lot of you complain saying, this fragrance doesn't project, this does not smell. Now one is of course different chemistry, skin chemistry has got different reactions, so because of which the fragrances smell very differently. But there is also a lot of ingredients that go in these fragrances, which are reasons for certain fragrances to perform really well and certain fragrances not to perform that well. Okay, now one of the key ingredients in any fragrance is something called as fixatives. Okay, now fixatives are called as blenders. Now these are certain compounds or molecules that you can actually use on a fragrance up to a certain level, which will help you either get a better projection or get you a longer lasting or increase the overall profile of this fragrance, right? Now basically there are 3 that work absolutely fantastic, and these are the most 3 that are used by everybody. In every fragrance you will find this. That is basically ISO-E Super 1, second is Javanol, and 3 is Ambroxan. Now today we are going to talk about how you can actually use this individually or independently and actually improve your fragrance journey, and that's what we are going to talk about. And so let's first talk about ISO-E Super. So the first one we're talking about is ISO-E Super, and I'm calling it Mono 1 for a reason. So let's talk about ISO-E Super, and I put it on a strip here. Okay, now in essence this is basically a compound or a molecule that actually smells a little woody. Okay, so it has a very woody kind of a dry down that you get after about 5-10 minutes. But in the first spray that you do, when you smell it right up front, it can smell very alcoholic, it can smell a little eggy, it could smell a little weird in the first 5-10 seconds. Okay, now once you let it sit for a few seconds, then the profile of the fragrance opens up and you kind of get a bit of a woody nuance to it. It's a very it's not sweet, okay, borderline sweetness, I would say. Lightly there is a little bit of that sweetness that definitely there, but a non-sweet molecule as such, which has got a light amount of woody element. Okay, now you can use this with fragrances, okay, with your existing fragrances to increase either the projection or either the lasting. Okay, now and I'll tell you exactly how to go by it. Okay, so what you do is basically use this is ISO-E Super in this bottle. So what you do is you can do one of the 2 things. So first you spray on your skin or on your apparel, preferably apparel, wherever you put your fragrance. Now let's say for example you do 3 sprays on your hand. So if you apply this first on those 3 spots and then followed by your fragrance on those exact 3 spots, then you are basically increasing the projection of the fragrance. Okay, so if you apply ISO-E Super first and then apply your fragrance on top of it, then you are improving the projection. If you flip the part of it where you apply your fragrance first and then apply ISO-E Super on the exact same places, then you get a longer projection, I mean longer lasting. Okay, So if you apply ISO E Super first and then apply your fragrance, you get better projection. If you apply your fragrance first and then put ISO E Super on top of it, then you get better lasting. Now, why this happens is because ISO E Super has got a quality that works well like this. When layered with a certain fragrances, it can either improve the projection or it can improve the lasting. Okay. Now, this does not mean that you will get super lasting. Okay. Definitely no. It's not like if your fragrance was doing 4 hours, now you're going to get 7 hours. No. This might improve by about 20%. So if you are doing 4 hours, you might get about 5 hours and vice versa. Now this could be applicable for projection or for lasting. Now you will notice that why this is, why I'm saying that you will only get about 20% is because you can also only utilize it in a certain way. For example, if you think that I want to increase the perfume performance of your fragrance, so you're going to put 5 sprays of your perfume, and if you do, let's say 10 sprays of this is not going to work. One. Second, if you look at a decant bottle and say I will decant my perfume half and then I will put half of this, it is only going to be diluted. It's not going to work like that. The reason why it does not work like that is because all fragrances have got either Ambroxan or ISO Super or Javanol in some way or the other, right? Now, the percentage of how much ISO Super is available on that fragrance or not, we do not know, because that information is generally not mentioned on a fragrance. So because of that reason, you wouldn't know whether the fragrance is going to improve very drastically on projection or very drastically on lasting. But you can do a trial and error. Try this, and if it works for you, only then go for a full bottle. So preferably always try any of these fixatives before you actually buy a full bottle. Okay, so because there is a lot of other complications as well in terms of that, right? So remember, ISO E Super is a woody scent profile, and this will work extremely well with fresh fragrances. So especially summer citrusy fragrances where there is a woody base to it, and there you can definitely apply ISO E Super to get a little better performance or a little better projection or lasting. One of these things. If you apply, remember, if you apply ISO E Super first on your skin or apparel, and then if you apply your fragrance, you get better projection. If you apply your fragrance first and then apply ISO E Super, you are most likely going to get better lasting. Okay, so but don't get both. You will not get both. Either one of those things is what you will get on ISO E Super, and I'm calling it Mono 1 for a reason, and I'll talk to you about that a little later. Okay, so generally, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. That is, if you're applying 5 sprays of your perfume, do 5 sprays of ISO E Super as well. Okay, don't do 1:2. Right? If you're doing 5 sprays of perfume, don't do 10 sprays of ISO E Super. It is only going to dilute the fragrance and not going to improve it in any way. Okay, so as a boosting layer, just go ahead and do that. Right? So that was ISO E Super. Now let's talk about the next one, which is basically called as Javanol. Okay, now Javanol is basically a molecule or a compound created by one of the fragrance brands or one of the suppliers for a lot of international fragrance brands called Javanol. Now Javanol is the one that's created this, and this is absolutely fantastic in my opinion. Now the reason, what is Javanol? Now Javanol is basically the closest thing that can come to a very good sandalwood oil. Okay, now for example, let's talk about Mysore sandalwood, which is considered the best sandalwood oil that you can use on any sandalwood fragrances. Now this retails to about 8 lakh rupees a litre. Now Javanol on the other comes to at about 1 lakh rupees. So you know that there's a huge cost cutting, or you can get that. Second is that from what I've heard is that there are no compounds that can actually replicate 100% of Mysore sandalwood oil at all. There are no compounds that are currently available. The closest one that can actually do is Javanol, and you will find fragrances like Ortho Parisi's Burga Mask actually using Javanol on a very, very nice way. Okay, now what actually Javanol does? Now Javanol has got a nice woody sweet sandalwood base. Now what this actually does is, when you layer it with fragrances, just like how you use ISO E Super, you apply one layer, one spray and then put your perfume. Now in this case, in Javanol's case, you don't have to follow a rule of applying perfume first and then Javanol or anything. You can use it either ways. All it does is it will add depth to your perfume. It will give you a kind of a richer scent profile. It will give you a more lightly sweeter, woodier, sandalwood type of a base that you want in a fragrance. And if that is something that you enjoy, you can absolutely use Javanol, because Javanol is pretty much used exactly as a good base for making sandalwood fragrances. So if you have a woody fragrance and you want a light amount of sweetness, a creaminess, a little bit of depth, a little bit of a richer feeling, then you can use Javanol on your fragrances and it will actually do that. So it does not actually extend longevity, it does not extend projection, or it does not do any of those things, but it only builds a excellent scent profile using Javanol. And Javanol is actually very nice to smell. It has got a very creamy, woody kind of a beautiful texture that you can actually utilize very well. So that was Javanol number 2. Alright, now let's talk about the third one, which is in this case Mono 3, which is basically Ambroxan. Okay, now Ambroxan is considered as a joker of the fragrance industry, because like when you play cards, right? So you have the card joker card, right? Now a joker card can be utilized with any game, and it has got different combination. It can either get your game up or get your game down, so different combination. So exact same thing is what is done by Ambroxan. Now Ambroxan is literally used in almost all fragrances. Okay, all of the fragrances have got Ambroxan in some quantity or other. There are some fragrances where Ambroxan is amped up very much, and in some fragrances Ambroxan is very low. Okay, now because of which, when you use Ambroxan, you can either get excellent performance, you can get excellent projection, or you can get a better scent profile overall. The reason being is we actually do not know what is the level of Ambroxan used on the fragrance that you're using. So when you actually layer this, now again in this case you can layer it first the fragrance and then this, or vice versa, both are absolutely fine. Because you don't know what is the percentage of Ambroxan used on a particular perfume that you are using, when you use Ambroxan additionally, it can either increase the performance in terms of longevity, or you get a better projection, or you can actually make your scent profile sound actually better. But when you actually smell Ambroxan up close, okay, you can't really figure out much, because it kind of smells very different to different people. Okay, for me, I literally can't figure out anything, because it smells like a very non-bland element. Okay, something like a little bit like an alcoholic, salty kind of an accord is all that I get, and different people get different smells from Ambroxan. So Ambroxan, when blended with different fragrances, can actually bring out a lot of good things. Okay, definitely good things, no doubt about it. But we just don't know what kind of a good thing. It could be lasting, it could be projection, or it could be a better scent profile. Right, so those are those three elements. Okay, so ISO is Super, called Mono 1, okay, Javanol called Mono 2, and Ambroxan called Mono 3. All of these are fantastic layering options that you can try out. Figure out which fragrances that you use routinely, whether it is designer fragrances or an alt, anything. Because I'll tell you what happens, even in lower alt houses, they might use a lot of Ambroxan, whereas in a designer fragrance or a niche fragrance, they would use it depending on which country it is made and where it's being targeted to sell, and the level of molecules used in all of their fragrances. Now, one of the good things is that I've always wanted to use my platform as a way of bringing up all of these fragrances for you, their role in fragrances and how you can layer them and use them. So we have made all of these three available on our website. I'll put up the prices on the website. So I think except for ISO Super, which is not available in 100 ml, Javanol and Ambroxan is available. But I'd highly encourage you to buy the 10 mls first. Try it on different fragrances, see what you get, what is the result that you get, what works better for you, and then decide if you want to get a 100 ml. Do not blind buy a 100 ml and then end up not using it, right? These can actually be used just as it is. Javanol and ISO Super can be used just as a single molecule fragrance as well, because they kind of have very simplistic approach to them, so you might actually end up liking them as they are. but with a fragrance, when you layer them up, they actually work very well, so you might be able to actually utilize them, right? And that's what I thought I'll bring them to you, because this is something very interesting, and you know how it's used in fixatives, in fragrances, and when you use them moderately or slightly in a better way, how you can get better performance. And if you've already used them and you like this, do let me know what you think about it, and I'll be happy to know about your comments and thoughts on these things. And now let me do this on Hindi quickly. तो आज हम बात करने वाले हैं 3 फिक्सेटिव्स के बारे में। जो फिक्सेटिव्स होते हैं, ये जो फ्रेग्रेंसेस में यूज़ किया जाता है, इनको फ्रेग्रेंसेस से लास्टिंग मिलती है, थोड़ा स्टेबिलिटी मिलती है और थोड़ा प्रोजेक्शन मिलता है। तो पहले है आईएसओई सुपर, ओके, उसको मैंने मोनो 1 करके बुलाया है। सो आईएसओई सुपर एक वुडी टाइप का एक बेस है जो आप फ्रेश परफ्यूम्स में यूज़ कर सकते हो। इससे क्या होता है कि आपकी परफ्यूम ईदर बेटर प्रोजेक्शन देगी या बेटर लास्टिंग देगी। तो अगर आपने आईएसओई सुपर को पहले लगाया, जैसे समझो कि आप आपके हाथ पे हो या कपड़े पे आप लगाते हो परफ्यूम, जहाँ भी आप लगाते हो, पहले आपने आईएसओई सुपर लगाया और उसके ऊपर आपने आपका परफ्यूम लगाया, तो आपको बेटर प्रोजेक्शन मिलेगा। अगर आपने आपके परफ्यूम को पहले लगाया और उसके ऊपर आईएसओई सुपर को लगाया, तो आपकी लास्टिंग बढ़ेगी। अब ये कितनी बढ़ेगी, ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको 4 घंटे जो परफॉर्मेंस मिलती थी, अभी ये लगाने के बाद 7 घंटे मिल जाएगा, ऐसा नहीं है। बट ऐसा हो सकता है कि 4 घंटे से आपको 1 घंटा ज़्यादा मिल जाए या आपको थोड़ी बेटर सेंट प्रोफाइल मिले। तो अगर आपको स्पेशली लास्टिंग और प्रोजेक्शन को इम्प्रूव करना है आपके परफ्यूम्स में, तो आप आईएसओई सुपर लगा सकते हो। आपको एक 15 से 20% का एक परफॉर्मेंस इंप्रूवमेंट ज़रूर मिलेगा। ये आपको ट्राई करना पड़ेगा कि कौन से परफ्यूम में ये चलता है, क्योंकि हमें पता नहीं रहता है कि उस परफ्यूम जो आप यूज़ कर रहे हो उसमें कितना आईएसओई सुपर ऑलरेडी है, ओके, या नहीं है, वो हमें पता नहीं चलता है। तो अगर आप फ्रेश परफ्यूम्स को एनहांस करना चाहते हो तो ज़रूर आईएसओई सुपर यूज़ करो, ओके। सेकेंड वाला है मोनो 2, इनको हम बोलते हैं जावानोल, और जावानोल है एक सैंडलवुड ऑयल का रिप्लेसमेंट। जो मैसूर सैंडलवुड को माना जाता है वर्ल्ड का सबसे बेस्ट सैंडलवुड ऑयल है, उसको रिप्लेस करना बहुत मुश्किल है, और जितना जानकारी है, कोई भी ऐसा कंपाउंड नहीं है जो अवेलेबल है जिससे आप ये कर सकते हो। तो अगर आपको एक वुडी क्रीमी स्वीट वाला एक मॉलिक्यूल चाहिए जिससे आपकी परफ्यूम को थोड़ी जान आ जाए, थोड़ा रिच स्मेलिंग आ जाए, थोड़ा अच्छा ड्राई डाउन मिले, तो आप जावानोल यूज़ कर सकते हो। ना अभी जावानोल को आप कैसे भी यूज़ करो, पहले जावानोल यूज़ करो और उसके ऊपर परफ्यूम यूज़ करो या वाइस वर्सा करो, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। जावानोल से आपकी लास्टिंग या प्रोजेक्शन बढ़ती नहीं है, इससे सिर्फ आपकी सेंट की क्वालिटी, जो एक प्रोफाइल होती है, वो बढ़ जाती है। उससे आपको थोड़ा अच्छा वाला सेंट परफ्यूम का प्रोफाइल मिलता है। और लास्ट वाला जो है एम्ब्रॉक्सिन, ओके, एम्ब्रॉक्सिन को हमने मोनो 3 बुलाया है। सो एम्ब्रॉक्सिन क्या करता है, एक जोकर की तरह होता है, जो आपके कार्ड्स, जो आप प्लेइंग कार्ड्स यूज़ करते हो, उसमें जो जोकर होता है उसी तरह होता है, जो किसी में भी यूज़ कर सकते हो और आपको अच्छा ही रिजल्ट आएगा। इससे आपकी इधर प्रोजेक्शन बढ़ सकती है या लास्टिंग बढ़ सकती है या सेंट प्रोफाइल बढ़ सकती है, क्योंकि हर परफ्यूम में एम्ब्रॉक्सिन यूज़ किया जाता है, बट वो कितने लेवल तक यूज़ किया जाता है वो हमें पता नहीं है। तो जब आप इसका एक लेयर आप लगाएंगे, या परफ्यूम लगाने के बाद या परफ्यूम लगाने के पहले लगा के आप यूज़ करेंगे, तो डेफिनेटली उससे आपकी लास्टिंग बढ़ सकती है, परफॉर्मेंस बढ़ सकती है, या और आपकी जो एक सेंट प्रोफाइल हो वो ज़रूर बढ़ सकती है। तो इसकी जो एक इफेक्ट है वो अलग परफ्यूम्स के ऊपर अलग तरीके से आते हैं। तो कोई परफ्यूम में प्रोजेक्शन अच्छा हो जाता है, कोई परफ्यूम में लास्टिंग अच्छा हो जाती है, कोई परफ्यूम में उसकी प्रोफाइल अच्छी हो सकती है। तो ये 3 आप ज़रूर यूज़ कर सकते हो, और ये तीनों हमारे वेबसाइट perfumeexperience.in पे मैंने इनको अवेलेबल कर दिया है, क्योंकि मुझे एक प्लेटफॉर्म चाहिए था ऐसी चीज़ें लाने के लिए आपके तक, और इसकी जानकारी देने के लिए, और ये कैसे यूज़ किया जाता है, इनको आप कैसे यूटिलाइज कर सकते हो, और आपको परफ्यूम्स को कैसे आप एनहांस कर सकते हो, इसके बारे में मैं करना चाहता था, और मुझे एक अपॉर्चुनिटी मिली, मैं आपके लिए ये ला सकता हूँ। तो ये 10 ml में है और 100 ml में है। मेरी रिक्वेस्ट होगी कि आप 10 ml ट्राई करें, टेस्ट करें, यूज़ करें, फिर आपके रिजल्ट्स अच्छे हो तो फिर जाके आप 100 ml का ट्राई करें। ब्लाइंड बाय 100 ml मत करना, जो भी आपको चाहिए वो आप यूटिलाइज कीजिए, और मुझे बताइए कि अगर आपने इसके यूज़ करने के बाद आपको क्या अच्छा लगा और कैसा अच्छा लगा। वो भी मुझे ज़रूर बताइएगा। और अगर ये वीडियो आपको अच्छा लगा तो ज़रूर कमेंट करके बताओ और शेयर करो अपने फ्रेंड्स के साथ जो हिंदी देखना चाहते हैं, उनको ये वीडियो शायद पसंद आए। राइट, सो दैट्स व्हाट आई थॉट, एंड दिस आर ऑल अवेलेबल ऑन आवर वेबसाइट एज Mono 1, Mono 2 and Mono 3, and the website is the perfumeexperience.in. You can try out the 10 mls and let me know, then we can bring in more options as well. And if you like the video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe and share, and I'll see you on another one. Until another time, take care. Bye bye.